Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor. Welcome to my channel as we are providing mental health information from a centered place. Today we are going to discuss Rue. Rue, she is the main character of Euphoria, which season 2 has just ended. And I know there's a lot of emotions out there about the ending of season 2, but today we're going to talk about and get a little curious about Rue. I think there's a lot of things we can learn about her. And also, Rue is, she's a pretty activating character. And I use the word activation as a way to almost substitute for the word trigger. It's because we do use that word a lot, and trigger is a word that is kind of a charged word, right? So it can have a very strong response to it. And so you'll hear me use those words interchangeably. But she's a very activating character. She ignites some things within us. If you're a mother, if you're a therapist, like I am both of those, I definitely, was activated by Rue because I care about her, and they do a great job. They do a great job with making sure that we feel Rue, that we see Rue, and that we hear her. And so I really want to kind of take a good look at her to kind of understand her and see what we can learn from her. As this season, they truly take a great, honest look at substance use and truly the struggle, the inner struggle that Rue has with addiction, with her many things that she's dealing with on a regular basis, on a daily basis. We learn in season 1 that she does have multiple diagnoses, and I'm always curious about when someone has had multiple diagnoses. My assumption that I'm going to make, they don't tell us this, but my assumption I'm going to make is that she's had some times where she's been maybe in the hospital multiple times. That's really what I see when people have a lot of diagnoses. So she has been diagnosed with ADHD, she's been diagnosed with bipolar and borderline personality disorder, some OCD. So she's got a lot of things that she's battling within her, and it's not, and we don't see in this season or even last season where she was really taking her medication or going to therapy on a regular basis, so it's not being treated, right? And she's dealing with the unresolved grief of her father and navigating high school all at the same time. So I want to have us be a little bit curious about how she's truly dealing with her pain in a protective way. A lot of times we do have these protectors that come about when we experience emotional pain to reassure us, to make sure that we don't experience pain again. So I'm going to be taking an IFS lens and looking at Rue. And IFS is internal family systems. It's a type of therapy that I utilize and work from in my practice. And if you want to know more about internal family systems, definitely check out my video. I have a video on my channel about that as well. But one of the key components of IFS, internal family systems, is that when we do experience pain, when we do have things that are traumatic, that our body, our system, it holds that. It holds it and creates protectors to make sure, to reassure that this will not happen again, right? And so we see some protectors definitely that Rue uses to navigate all that she is going through on a regular basis. Now, one of the ways that we definitely see where she's using to protect herself from pain is definitely emotionally numbing. After experiencing severe pain over an extended period of time, our brain tells us that this is the baseline, that this is how we should be feeling, and it kind of numbs, it normalizes the pain and numbs it. And so we see this in her very kind of hard exterior that she uses to protect herself from hurt from people and also abandonment, as that is definitely one of Rue's triggers. That is a very sensitive place, coming from the death of her father and feeling emotionally neglected by her mother, which we hear in the episode where there's that intervention and she definitely lashes out at her mother for not being there for her when she needed her. It also protects her from empathizing with the hurt that she causes from other people. As we see in the in the last few episodes where she is coming to terms with the fact that she does need to be clean, and she's starting to wean herself off of the substances that she's using, she is starting to feel the pain, right? She's starting to feel the pain that she's caused other people. And so shame is really the root of all of this, where she's trying to prevent herself from feeling shame. So if she creates this hard exterior where she doesn't feel pain, she also protects herself from sitting in the seat of how other people are experiencing her, whether it be her mother, her sister, her friends, Jules, all of the pain that she's caused them. She doesn't feel it because she's doing the emotional numbing. Now, definitely, emotional numbing has its limitations. These parts that and the protectors that we do utilize, they have limitations. They don't always get it right. And so when they have a failure, then they turn to other ways of managing pain. And so we see this in the ways of her using substances to numb the pain when she is ignited by it. We see this at the end of season 1 when Jules leaves. She is definitely taken back to that place of fear and panic, and she uses substances to cope with that. Now, the difficult part about this type of protector which is called a firefighter, is that it can burn bridges. That's a side effect of this type of protector. So she's hurting people again that she loves. She's hurting her friends. She pretty much tried to go the whole season 2 of not telling Jules that she was using again. And she also tried to keep it away from her sister as much as possible, but then she became a little savvy about that, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then she's also hurting people that have been loyal to her, and we see that with her friend Rez, who is also her drug dealer, right? And so she, in a moment of desperation, when she was in withdrawal and really wanting to get drugs, I think this was maybe in season 5 or 6, she's stealing medication to try to cope and not go in withdrawal, and that kind of put a huge rift in her relationship with him. But at that time, in that moment, she's just really trying not to feel. She's trying not to feel the pain, the shame, and the fear and the anxiety of the abandonment that she felt from the death of her father, and also from her loved ones, as she is not managing her relationships as she can because of her hurt. Another protector that we see is her savvy part. That's what I'm going to call it. I try to be very strength-based, and I lean against words like manipulative. That word has such a negative connotation to it. I'm not saying that this behavior is positive. I'm just saying that the intent of this behavior is not negative, right? The intent of this behavior for Rue is to build a confidence, a sense of confidence, to protect her from shame. She doesn't really feel confident. She does not trust herself to navigate the world as quote unquote normal people would. And so from her lens, she sees that she truly doesn't trust herself. And so this savvy part, this savvy, very intelligent, insightful part that she has kind of helps her. It helps her feel confident. So we see this in a few ways this season, where she purchased the pills from this drug dealer to try to have access to drugs, so that she wouldn't have to go through withdrawal. She even she found a way to tell her sister, right, to kind of normalize smoking marijuana, as saying, it's just marijuana, it's okay, that's what I'm doing, and that's it. I'm just trying to deal with things, and hey, this is really hard for me, you don't understand. And so using that as a way, so if her sister sees her under the influence of drugs, then she'll just say, oh, okay, she's just high because she's smoking marijuana, when really she is using other things. We also see that she was using this too in the episode where her and her mother were fighting during the intervention, and she was taunting her, hey, just give me a drug test. Just give me a drug test. And if you think that I'm using, just give me a drug test. Not knowing that her mother had talked to her friends, but she was trying to call her bluff. Why would I tell you to give me a drug test if I was under the influence of drugs? So she was trying to kind of throw a bluff at her mother, to really not be called out, and not be called out on her substance use. We also see this too as she is at her friend Lexi's house during the episode of The Intervention, and Lexi's mom calls Rue's mother and catches Rue off guard. And so then she sees Cassie as a way to deflect the attention away from her by telling Maddie that Cassie is sleeping with her boyfriend. And so this is another way that Rue kind of like pivots in a very smart way, right? She's using this to take the attention off of her so that she can escape. Also in this episode, we see that she's very smart. She knows like the most used common password to break into someone's safe in their home, to get money, to try to get some belongings, to try to save herself from the wrath of this drug dealer because they flushed the drugs down the toilet and she doesn't have the money to supply the drug dealer. And now we see the next protector that Rue has is definitely risky behavior. And we've talked about that a little bit when taking a look at her savvy part, that is navigating and trying to be resourceful when dealing in these difficult situations. So some of her risky behavior is, definitely, of course, buying these drugs from this person who threatens to truly traffic her if she doesn't have the money. Her drug use in general is a risky behavior. She was really in a space where she was like crashing and had to use an Adderall, we saw, to kind of bring her heart rate back up. She was breaking into homes, running from the police, almost running into traffic. She is in a place where she's participating in these risky behaviors out of a way of desperation, but also because it was just kind of like a byproduct of the emotional numbing, right? So she's not really present, not really aware of how her behavior is impacting herself or her family. And so these risky behaviors just protects her. It protects her from accountability, and it also, like the savvy part, really protects her from this shame that she feels, because it does give her this sense of like maladaptive confidence. If I can do this, I got away from the police. I was able to sneak out of Lexi's house, so I was able to break in this house and get out without any huge repercussions, right? And so that kind of builds this kind of confidence, like, look what I could do, even though these things are not okay, right? These things are not legal. These things are not safe. And at the same time, it does help to cover that shame that she's feeling. Also, the next protector that we see is this runner part. It's avoidant part, that is trying to escape accountability at any cost. One, and this is definitely tying right back to the shame once again, because she is definitely not wanting to face accountability. Accountability for Rue means that if she is called out on the carpet for how she is showing up for her family, that means she is bad. Shame, that's truly the definition of shame. We all do things that we're not proud of, and we have guilt for that, right? So that means that we feel like we have guilt and remorse for doing something bad. What's different for shame is shame means that I am bad because I did a bad thing. And that's where Rue is. Rue definitely feels that way. And this running behavior helps to prevent her from feeling that shame. If she avoids accountability, if she blames her mother, if she blames her sister, if she is blaming the world for her problems, escaping getting clean when her mother is trying to take her to the hospital to get help, and running out into traffic, she is truly trying to prevent herself from feeling shame, because one, she doesn't trust herself enough to be able to stay clean, but then also she doesn't trust herself enough or trust other people enough to truly accept her for who she is. And we see this in the next part for sure, the suicidal part. We have to talk about Ruth's suicidal part because it's truly the undercurrent of a lot of her behaviors. She is carrying so much pain. She's carrying a lot of pain, the pain of feeling different, the pain of abandonment, of grief, and disappointment, and truly disappointment. And so that is a lot to carry. And also shame. She feels like a lost cause. She feels like no one else will truly accept her for who she is. And so because of that, she has to be all of these things that we've named, right? She has to have this type of confidence and hard exterior to be able to navigate through life, because truly being who she is, the vulnerable person, is not going to be accepted. And so there is a part of her that does want to end her life, and that part is kind of feeding and connecting with the risky behavior part, the savvy part. And that is definitely very, very apparent during the intervention, as she spoke with her friends and her family about truly feeling like in a week or two she was going to end her life because of her drug use. And in this last episode, we also see where she was speaking with her friend after he sang that beautiful song to her, that she truly was in a place where she was going to end her life. And even though she was upset about him telling Jules about her substance use, she was also grateful because one, she said she needed someone to forgive, because she was going to have to apologize so much, right? Connecting right back to that shame that we were talking about earlier, but also because she knew that she was on a path to end her life. The last protector, and certainly not least, is the rage. Rage, we saw this. We saw rage definitely in the episode, The Intervention, the most, where she lashed out at her mother, she lashed out at Jules. And these are the two people that have been with her and been by her side truly through all of this, or at least they feel that way, right? And so it's covering up the sadness and disappointment of the emotional pain of her mother, because it definitely seems, again, like part of her definitely feels that her mother was not emotionally available for her, which also covering up the sadness of the death of her father with this rage, and also her mother not truly understanding, when she's in a place where she is using drugs, and not understanding that she's feeling like she needs this to cope. So she's truly upset about this. She says very hurtful things. She kind of throws these grenades. There's a part of her that doesn't really use her voice and doesn't feel like she can use her voice because of the things that she has done to people. And so when she is in a moment where she is rage, where that is ignited, she lashes out. We see where she tells Jules her truth about how she felt about her leaving her at the end of season 1. And we see like that rage gives her the license or confidence to be able to communicate that with Jules. We also see this rage with her sponsor, as he has communicated some very sensitive information to her about how he has interacted with his family and the things that he has failed to do and mistakes that he has made, and she threw those in his face in moments of hurt and rage when he was trying to call her out on her behavior. So definitely rage is a thing that she does to push people away, again, to protect herself from abandonment, and also to communicate her hurt that she has been kind of holding in, but doesn't feel like she has a place to say these things because of her substance use and her behavior. And then also she's using it as a way to cover up the sadness and other emotions that she feels and harbors on a regular basis. One of the beautiful things that was really great to see this season was redemption. It was beautiful to see that when she had that conversation with her sponsor, and she asked for forgiveness for the things that she said out of anger. You could see that Rue was truly searching for redemption versus abandonment. She was trying to connect. She was trying to see, are you still going to stay in my life? Are you still going to be present with me? And that's why Ali's forgiveness meant so much to Rue. And she was able to eat that Jolly Rancher that we saw after that happened, because she was just so panicked that someone else was going to leave her that meant so much to her. One of the things that also was really great to see this last episode was how Rue responded to Lexi's play. She said that she was able to see her life for the first time, and from a place where she didn't feel bad about herself. And truly, we get to see that she's seeing herself through her friend's eyes and not through her eyes, which is cloaked with shame. She doesn't truly have an accurate view of herself. And so having that view, that compassion from Lexi, and to see how much she was hurting and how much her father's death impacted her life, and to see that through that lens, as Lexi is able to identify with that pain through her father leaving her, that she's able to see herself as something other than the shameful being that causes other people pain, but just someone who's hurt and experienced a lot of grief and didn't know how to handle it, and didn't trust herself to handle it. I hope that we can truly understand Rue and understand substance use. I know that some of these behaviors are not, socially accepted by our culture, and at the same time, there's a reason why these protectors are present. Thank you guys so much for watching and leaning into your curiosity about Rue. Yes, her behaviors can be a bit triggering, can be activating, can ignite some things within us. And at the same time, there's a lot that we can learn from her. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below. Tell me what you learned from Rue. What did you see from Rue this season that helped you to understand her a little bit more, as this is a huge struggle. Substance use and mental illness is a huge struggle that we deal with a lot in our life, and we have so much to learn. We still have much to learn about mental illness and substance use, and especially in the areas with our friends, our families, and even within ourselves. As we are all complex individuals, we all have battles that we are working through, and pain that we are carrying. And so definitely lean into your curiosity, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered. Peace.